Hey guys, and welcome back to Culture Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe. And this week, we have gone back to what is essentially one of those animes. One of the supposed legendary, you haven't watched what? And you call yourself an anime fan?
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a classic to say the least.
Yeah, sure. Neither of us have seen, until now, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
Wait, before we progress any further,
Yeah.
how do you say it? I don't actually say Evangelion. I think I say Evangelion.
Well, before watching this, I used to call it Evangelion.
Wow, okay.
I think I don't know. Like, it's weird because obviously hearing you say that, my instinct is to just say Evangelion.
I think I say it like that because that's how I've always heard it.
Yeah, I think we'll go for that for the moment. Then, like, I don't know. Who knows? The pronunciation might change halfway through the episode. Who knows?
I mean, we could make it worse.
Go on.
Evangelion.
Evangelion. Go le français.
Oh, fancy. But yes, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Neither of us had seen it, and it is always one of those like, you what? You ain't seen it?
When you tell someone, oh yeah, I watch anime, they're like, oh yeah, I watched a bunch of anime as well. It's like, oh yeah, what you watched? Yeah, I watched Evangelion. It's like, what? Jeez, okay. I was like, I haven't seen it, and it's like, well, okay, it's an all-time great and stuff like that. And it's, yeah, I mean, is it like that's one thing? I mean, I didn't really finish watching Cowboy Bebop until like last year before,
And I still haven't seen it.
and there's even things that we both of us haven't seen as well, like Akira as well. Neither of us has seen that either.
Do you know what? There's a lot of those like big classic tempo ones that everyone's like, oh, you call yourself an anime fan? You ain't even watched it? I'm like, bruh, calm down. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like, I think I've tried to get into it before, but I don't think the first episode gripped me that much. So like, we basically decided to go for this episode because let's actually see what the hype is about. Let's go through the series and actually
Yeah, exactly that.
So myself and Nathan have watched all of the series of Neon Genesis, although Nathan's watched the movie and I haven't. That's the only difference between what myself and Nathan have seen.
Also, it needs to be noted, we just watched whatever was on Netflix.
Yeah.
So we've ended up watching the 1996 anime, and then the movie came out in like 98 or something.
Yeah.
97, 98. Yeah, man. I guess before we get into thoughts,
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, should I do a breakdown?
Yeah, go for the break. It's been out for God almost like 30 years at this point. But yeah, go on. give a quick rundown there. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so it's created by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto. Originally aired from October 4th, 1995 to March 27th, 1996. And Neon Genesis Evangelion is yeah, I've been thinking about how to make it worse.
We really are going for it. Okay, yeah. Fine.
Okay, I'm not going to do it again, but
No, you will. You will.
probably, maybe.
It's gonna be one of us.
In 2015, 15 years after a global cataclysm called the Second Impact, teenager Shinji Ikari is summoned to the futuristic city of Tokyo 3 by his estranged father, Gendo Ikari, who is the director of the special paramilitary force NERV. Shinji witnesses United Nations forces battling an angel, one of a race of monstrous beings whose awakening was foretold in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Because of the angel's near impenetrable force fields, NERV's Evangelion biomachines, which are synchronized to their pilot's nervous system and possesses their own force fields, are the only weapons capable of fighting the angels.
Yes, thank you for that, Nathan.
Courtesy of Wikipedia.
Thank you, Wikipedia, for this. Right. Okay. Obviously, going into this, I did have high expectations because everyone's told me that I need to watch this.
Yep, same.
And I tell you what, it did scratch my brain in the terms of old school animation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like 90s anime is like, oh, it's a good looking anime. You know what I mean? It scratched my brain in that kind of sense. Like the whole like old school Dragon Ball kind of look as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all that kind of stuff.
For me, it was the film grain.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that like old animation like film grain where they do like because it was like hand animated like cells and all that. It's like wow.
I love watching old anime like that. It genuinely feels like, oh, this is a product of its time, and it looks so good with it. Like, and it is a really fine looking anime with that.
Yes.
But then, obviously, as I said before, I watched the first episode probably about a year ago, maybe longer. I just couldn't get into it. It is very sci-fi as an anime, obviously.
Yep.
At a time set in the future, like 2015, maybe the past for us. But for them, that like when this is made, this is literally 10 years in the future, so it's quite funny seeing all this.
Well, it's more than that because if it originally aired in '95, that's like 20 years.
Oh shit, yeah, sorry, 96, sorry, my bad. Yeah, 20 years, my bad. My math bad.
Plus, that's just the anime. I forgot to note down when the manga came out.
Did it actually have a manga, or is it like
Yeah, it came from a manga, so
It did. Okay. I was always under the impression that it was like a anime original kind of thing.
I think that's just because as anime fans from the '90s, that's all you ever heard.
Yeah.
Is like the anime. No one ever talks like, oh yeah, you know that there's mangas and like books and shit.
Yeah. Like no one really talks about like the manga with that kind of thing. Because whenever I hear about Neon Genesis, I'm just gonna say Neon Genesis because it's I don't want to out fear of just saying something bad about the other word. It's my instincts to just say it. Like to be fair, when I was messaging my mates about this, I was just putting NGE.
Fair.
Like just to abbreviate it, but when I first started this, it was very sci-fi-esque, and I guess we were talking about the manga. I don't know why I diverted. Yeah, sorry, my bad. So when you hear about Evangelion, that's actually not a bad way.
Wow.
That's not a bad way to say it, though. Evangelion.
Yeah, but I feel like you've made it even worse somehow.
It's gonna get. We did say it's gonna get worse. Anyway, like. You always hear about the anime with this series.
Yes.
like I probably have seen volumes of the manga in like Waterstones or some comic book shops or something.
Well, I don't think I've ever looked personally.
I don't think it's not something I've really paid attention to. If I have seen it, it's something I've brushed past. Like it's not like. Again, I have had no interest into the series up until really like the past couple years. Again, it's something that people say, "Oh, you need to watch this. You need to watch this." And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like what we discussed in our movies episode. I'll add it to the list.
Yeah,
it's always
it's been on the list.
It has been on my list for years. Like,
I think it's been on my list since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
When I first started getting into anime. But here's a question for you. Did you watch sub or dub?
I watched dub.
Same. Just because here's the time frame for it. I was watching it or had it on my TV as I was editing the movies episode.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a behind the scenes. There's a time frame.
Right, yeah.
I was multitasking at the time, and for anyone who says that's impossible, not for me. For some reason, my pea brain can do that. Okay, I actually was intaking the anime whilst I was editing one of the Cultured Boys.
You're better than I am with that kind of. I could never edit and watch something at the same time.
Believe me, I don't know how, but my pea brain can do it.
That's absolutely fine. But yeah, I literally finished the series about 10 minutes before this episode.
Sounds about right. Every time it's one of these, Pepe's like, oh yeah, I just finished watching it. I just watched it or whatever.
Yeah.
When did I finish watching this? I think I finished watching this on like Thursday?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Wednesday or Thursday. Again, because I was like, I left it on whilst I was working. So it was like,
yeah.
I just had episodes going. What was your overall thoughts on this? This is the part I'm interested in.
If I was to take one word and describe Neon Genesis,
I have to. This is not on purpose, by the way.
Really
He's genuinely just flubbing it now. Like,
there's so much pressure now. There's so much pressure.
You're thinking about it too much.
I
just
am.
Say it.
I can't.
Just say it.
If I was to describe Neon Genesis Evangelion,
there you go.
in one word, it would be traumatic. This series,
Interesting. I would have said tragic, but basically the same thing.
T words which have no positive connotations with them.
No.
It like this thing is depressing, bro.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think like you only really see Shinji happy in this series, like literally in the last episode, and even then, it's very that last episode is trippy as hell, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you do see him get friends like a little bit, but he's never happy, man. He's always like trying to impress his father.
I mean, no one's ever happy.
No one's happy in this. Everyone, like, if I going through this, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop, for example, another 90s anime or an old school anime which I got really invested into last year or year before, whenever I watched it.
Yeah.
That series, obviously, again, people tell you, you've got to watch this, it's incredible, blah, blah, blah. I was low key expecting it to have some sort of similar connotations. I don't know why. Probably because it's sci fi in the 90s.
Well, you could not have tried to compare two more like opposite animes from what I understand.
It's very fucking different. Cowboy Bebop has those like is like quite funny. It's really funny at times and has like that action, got that sci-fi there, as well as like some emotional backstories. Or like Cowboy Bebop has the whole range of emotions, whereas Neon Genesis, this series, there's Shinji. I've never felt more sympathy for a character more than Shinji, man.
Is it bad that I did not sympathize with? Okay, I'm gonna put a hot take here.
God.
Whilst it's traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
and whilst I understand each character's background now that I've seen everything,
Yeah, yeah.
I still cannot relate and do not find any of the characters likable.
I'm honestly not surprised at all. Yeah.
I could care less that Shinji is a whiny little scaredy bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less that turns out Rei is some clone shit. I definitely don't care about Asuka
Yeah.
because she's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about Gendo and that he wanted to basically get Shinji's mum back
Mm-hmm.
because he's a dick. Misato might have been the only character I might have sort of felt anything for because like I did kind of.
Yeah.
She's a little more relatable, but even then I didn't care. Kaji was weird because he was just so aloof.
He was very strict. Like Kaji was just a character.
And then like Akagi, like this Ritsuko Akagi, you know, the scientist.
Yeah, yeah.
I just sort of never really paid attention when she was about.
I can understand why Ritsuko is there. Like she does really serve a purpose in terms of Katsuragi's Misato's backstory. Like the thing is the Misato, Kaji, and Ritsuko thing is that's like their trio. Like it's like a bit about, but it doesn't really like the story doesn't go too heavily with their backstory.
No, not really.
It mainly focuses on Kaji and Misato if it is anyone. Like Ritsuko is there and she has like about I don't know maybe 10 minutes of backstory and even then it's to serve backstory for Misato and Kaji really. So
well, I mean, like the only other backstory she has is like you learn about her mum,
yeah,
who is basically the brain behind everything that started Nerve, you know, along with Gendo. But then you also learn that her mum was getting it on with Gendo, with Shinji's dad.
mm-hmm.
And I'm just sort of like, I mean, I feel sorry for you, yeah, because apparently that's some sort of big deal for some reason. I don't really understand why it was such a big deal to her, but whatever. Yeah, I feel like this is the one. This is the episode where I'm going to get flamed because I don't have a good take on any of this.
Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts then on it? Because I obviously you say like it's tragic, which is very correct in how you describe the series. So did you like this is one thing with it because you're quite a Gundam fan as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like obviously big fighting robots, like big evil monsters.
That was the only part I loved.
Yeah, yeah.
Giant robot fights, big monster was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Everything else, get rid of it. Garbage.
You didn't like all the emotional side of it and stuff like that then?
I mean, like, it sets the world,
Yeah.
but I feel like you only really need a few bits here and there to realize this world is an utter tragedy and has nothing redeemable about it. They're all fucked.
Yeah.
Between the world government having their own weird secret council trying to start essentially the third impact,
Mm-hmm.
and then Gendo also trying to do that, but for his own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's trying to save the world, really. They're all using pretenses to bring about the end of the world. Like, you're fucked either way.
There's no positives you can take from this whatsoever. And like either way, it just looks like it's a hope. A lot of it feels very hopeless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, then it's also compounded that it's hopeless because not everyone can pilot these Avas.
Yeah.
So far, only people that can do it are 14-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah.
One who is reluctant to do it and constantly is like, I'm quitting. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Which finally gave me context for all the old memes. Shinji, get in the robot. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. Shinji, get in the fucking robot.
It really does give context.
It literally is that.
It is that
It
context.
is literally, it's always that. It's where's Shinji? Crying in a corner, curled up in a ball. Shinji, shut the fuck up and get in the fucking robot.
Man's having traumatic experiences.
He
which
is.
completely understandable. If you threw a 14-year-old in a giant robot which he has no clue about, then like at one point he's asked to kill his friend, and then like his dad is like,
Oh god.
no, go fuck you. And then like his dad overwrites it and basically makes him do it.
That's the worst part. That I really felt for Shinji there.
Yeah.
But every other instance, I'm like, I get it. You've got trauma. You're 14. I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I sympathize with everyone else more. You are one of 3 people that can save the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got to step up at that point, right?
Yeah.
Especially when he knows. He's got the best sync rate out of all of them.
Yeah.
So it falls on his shoulders more than anyone else. I get stress. I get trauma. I get pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, in that situation, stop fucking around and get in the fucking robot and stop the giant monster that's going to kill people. Even he several times has said in the series, like, no one else can do it but me, and still goes, I quit. I'm leaving. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
The only time it was justified, super justified, was in that example where, like you said, he got overridden by his dad and he almost killed his friend Toji. When Toji becomes Ava Unit 3's pilot and it turns out it's an angel. Or, well, probably not actually. It probably just came to life. Like, it awakened a little early and then they lost control. But basically, that's the only time I'm like, no, you know what? Shinji's right. Like, I know that he's only one of 3 at this point, but like, no, that's fucked up, man. His dad's fucked up.
Yeah.
That is twisted. I would quit too. Fine. Hands up, yeah, I would quit too in that situation. But every other situation, it is just like...
But he ends up back in the fucking robot in the end anyway. This is the one thing with it. It's like, Shinji, I'm going to quit. And he's really determined this time. Like, oh, okay, yeah, he's going to quit. No, he gets back in it by the end of the episode.
Well, that's also the other annoying thing is that he quits. You always see him at the fucking train station.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guarantee you, 10 minutes later, he's back in a fucking robot doing it all over again. So I'm like, Shinji, please stop doing this fucking song and dance.
To be fair, the series would have gone a whole lot different if that angel hadn't attacked at that point where the train is about to arrive, basically.
Yeah.
Shinji would have just gone, and then it would have been basically, yep, okay, everyone's fucked.
Roll credits, play the music.
That's it.
That's the other part I did like, is just Cruel Angel Thesis is always a banger.
It is really good.
Can't ever fault that song.
Yeah.
It was great to hear it every time.
It is.
Even though it's on our playlist and I listen to it every time.
It is such a freaking jam. Like I couldn't skip it. I had to be like, look, I have to listen to this thing because it is an absolute vibe.
Yeah, I never skipped it. I never once skipped it. Like, such a banger of a song.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, honestly, there was so much about this that I'm like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get why people like it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, it didn't hit. I guess maybe because it was so hyped up for so long that I'm just sort of like, whatever.
I did find myself again basically making myself watch this for the episode. Also felt like, I think about halfway through, maybe a little bit further on, that it did pick up a lot more in terms of story. Like,
Yeah.
the first, like, probably 10, 12 episodes are kind of like, it plods along a little bit. You see little bits and pieces, and it's like, okay, cool. This is fine. This is like a kind of story of the week kind of thing. And there is always something traumatic about it. Angel turns up. It's like, that's it.
I mean, I guess that's how you can tell it was probably a manga first.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones where I get it in terms of like why it is hyped up the way it is. And it is like, I don't know if it's like for the time, whether it was like a really big masterpiece of storytelling as well. I hit like the last episode is very divisive as well because obviously it's so freaking trippy. And like I was talking to one of my mates before this, and he was saying that basically the movie got made because everyone basically hated the ending.
Can confirm.
Yeah,
Can confirm.
yeah,
Where you said Shinji was only happy in the ending,
yeah.
that's one moment where I spaced out a little bit, focused too hard on the edit,
Mm-hmm.
and then turned back and went, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah.
And then it turns out that's the last episode and it just ends. However, I will say
Mm-hmm.
that the movie doesn't make it any better.
Okay.
So basically, what the movie does is it cuts the last two episodes, so 25 and 26,
Okay, yeah.
and it continues from 24 instead.
Is that where what's his face turns up? The whatever the supposed last angel.
Yeah,
What's his name again?
it's just after that, Kawaru or something.
Yeah, Kaoru, yeah.
It basically carries on from there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was still just as confused. It's a completely new ending,
Okay.
but I was still just as confused because whereas before, like 25 and 26 are like, it's all weird philosophical shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, different worlds. This is like different possibilities, but it's all about the connections you made.
Yeah.
The movie basically throws that all out, and the world does actually end, basically. It goes through, and basically Adam wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
Ray fuses with Adam, and instead of listening to Gendo and bringing back Shinji's mum, Ray basically goes to help Shinji, who was turns out is like the catalyst for all of this.
Uh-huh.
And then it's super confusing because basically everybody dies,
Uh-huh.
and Shinji and Asuka are left. I don't even know how Asuka survived because she was also dead at one point.
Yeah, plot armor.
Ray is a giant fucking thing. There's just a giant Ray.
It kind of like similar to what happened in, I think it was in 24, was it 23, where like that angel came down and like transformed Ray a little bit, and like,
Kind of.
and like there was like a giant Ray then as well, weren't there, where it was like in like affecting Shinji and stuff.
Yeah, but now it's like this is like literally just giant Ray. So she's like
Mm-hmm.
big and she's like pale again, like she's white.
Yeah, yeah, like an angel-y kind of thing. Yeah.
But she's just giant. But then she dies,
Mm-hmm.
and all you're left with is the Earth is now all red and devoid of life, except for Shinji and Asuka, and in the background is a half of the giant Ray face just smiling at you. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It was just being depressing for the sake of, like, the whole series was kind of depressing. So probably the creator was like, okay, you know what? Here's this other ending for the fans. Here you go. Here's your fucking depressing ending.
I have no idea because like everyone's gone and it was just Shinji in Ava Unit 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's on the planet
Mm-hmm.
and it was thinking of Asuka, and then she's there. Fuck knows why.
Mm-hmm.
He's like thinking of all the time she was screaming at her, and then like there's a sort of like a dream sequence, but I guess it isn't because it might be an alternate reality or some shit.
Yeah.
And she's screaming at him, and he finally like does something decisive, and he actually chokes her out. It's like he chokes her to death. And then he wakes up, and the two of them are lying next to each other. And for some reason, his next instinct is he wakes up, he looks at her, and I guess because they're the last two people, they're like, "You're not alone, you're not alone." For whatever reason, his instinct is to straddle her and then choke her out again.
Right.
But then she wakes up and like touches his face, and then he stops doing it, and then it's just sort of fuck knows what happens after that. It just like cuts. That's it pretty much. Like she says something as it's cut into black, and then that's it. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is all of this? What honestly, what is it? Why are people saying this series is so fucking good and oh who's your waifu? You pick Ray, you pick Asuka, like bro, none of this makes fucking any fucking sense.
Is it like a kind of like, you know, we talked about in the movies episode where there's like the kind of movie buffs love to like hype up certain like Tarantino or Nolan movies? Is it kind of like a fact that people love to hype up Neon Genesis because it is just like it's so, oh, there's a message deep down. You have to look for the message of this kind of thing. And this is the one thing, like that last episode was definitely delivered with a message. Like, oh yeah, you could just free, like life is what you make of it. Like it's freedom. Like you like throw away your anxieties. It's this kind of thing. And it's like, oh, Shinji finally throws away his anxieties and is actually happy and everyone's around him and he's with his peers and all this. Like that's what it feels like. But it's a mess. It's heavily message based, and it feels like I mean, it feels very fine. Okay, I do get where you're going with the Hulk. The character has transformed a lot since the first episode.
Yeah.
Like he is still very whiny throughout a lot of it. However, he does end up learning that like, oh, no one hates you, mate. Everyone, you're fine. It's all in your head.
Yeah, but then the movie takes that away.
Yeah, so you could have two different endings basically. There's whichever one you want to.
You know, there's actually, I think, technically a third ending
Yeah, there's like I've seen
because in 20, what was it? I did more research, and apparently in 2019, do you remember there were more films came out?
like is there like 0.3 or something like that?
It basically there's 4 movies, 4 new ones,
Right.
and they retell the entire series.
Okay.
So here's what I learned from typing in Neon Genesis Evangelion watch order.
Yeah.
People tell you watch this, the 1996 anime,
Mm-hmm.
watch the movie that came out after it,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically rewatch the whole fucking thing by watching the new films, and then you'll understand. I'm like, I should not have to do any of that to understand fucking what's going on.
Yeah. It's one of those, I guess, which is again has that kind of following where people like to read into it more, and there's probably stuff that in the series which represents other things and is very not artsy, but you know what I mean, like has a deep message. Everything signifies something.
I don't even know if it's a deep message. I feel like sometimes it's just being philosophical for the sake of it.
Hmm.
Maybe it is trying to portray some message and I'm too stupid to understand. But honestly, I tried to give this a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to I understand why some people would like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like, you know, thinking about the time period when this anime came out, it's, you know, it is definitely way different from a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
the only other thing that's probably close to this is probably Akira.
Mm.
Because you have to think like the other big series around this time are like what, like Dragon Ball and other like shonen stuff, you know, a little more like
It's all, yeah, like Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that. Yeah, it's yeah.
yeah, like happier shonen things, but this is like psychologically damaging, you know, like
It is draining, you know. It's like watching these characters go through so much and like nothing good happens to them really. They just get by every episode.
yeah,
And it's like, oh, we just narrowly we just narrowly achieved victory over this angel.
get by is like the perfect descriptor. Oh my god.
Yeah. Even the victories, they don't feel like, yay, we did it. It's like, oh, okay, that's over. What's next? Ah, there's another angel now. Fuck.
Exactly. We got just enough time to get back to zero.
And then it's like Shinji like ends up like something bad happens with his Eva, and then it's like, okay, we're not letting Shinji pilot right now. We have to rely on Asuka and Rei. And then like Asuka is literally just there like having her own psychological damage and like god complex or whatever the fuck she has.
Yep.
And then she like never feels good enough. And then so her, is it a sync state or something like that? What it's called? I can't remember.
The sync rate.
Sync rate, yeah. Hers just keeps on plummeting because basically she gets more and more jealous of Shinji because he's doing well. And then Ray's there just like doing her thing, but obviously Ray is just like I feel like every time Ray appears, she just gets fucked. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm in my Eva. And it's like, nope, okay, you get smacked down again. Like nothing good happens to Ray in this Eva. That's one of the most depressing things about the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, Ray's actually kind of like, well, she's a robot basically, which I could kind of tell.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like not exactly a robot, but like kind of it's like there's dolls or clones or whatever thing you want to. I kind of did suspect this going into the series as well. Meeting Ray, it's like she's very like doesn't have much personality. Is very blank canvasy, and I was like, there's gonna be something where she's artificial intelligence or something like that. There was gonna be something like that.
I think, yeah, I figured it's some sort of like experiment or some shit. You know, maybe she was like, I didn't think clone, but I thought maybe like, I don't know, like genetically engineered, like kid kind of thing, you know, like definitely some sort of science experiment
Yeah, no way. That
because she's like devoid of emotions sometimes.
yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, you saying all of that is why I still don't understand, even to this day, that some people will discuss Evangelion and be like, so Ray or Asuka? And I'm like, neither.
It's not the series for that. It really isn't.
It's not, but at the same time, you know, fans do that kind of shit. But I'm like, one has no emotion
Yeah.
and one is infuriating. Why would I pick either of them?
Yeah, it's like it's the complete opposites in that kind of thing, and it like I don't know, like it just feels like I don't know certain series like that, like oh yeah, pick your wife or whatever. I can understand it a bit, like it's like okay, yeah, like there's like a bound to be like some sort of happy ending in there, like I don't know, some sort of thing.
No one has a happy ending in Ava.
No, this is it's a fucking base. It's borderline apocalyptic in this series.
Well, I mean, if you watch the movie, it was an apocalypse.
It is, isn't it? And it's like it just feels like why are you making that decision in this anime of all things, man? Like again, I agree with you, like in the terms of likability of some of the characters here as well. Because like Ray's fine, like it's just like we said, blank canvas. There isn't much to it.
Yep.
And again, traumatic backstory. Asuka is again, I agree with you, very annoying as well.
Insufferable, man. Like, it's just anything that comes out of her mouth is basically just overconfidence. It's so annoying.
It doesn't feel like her backstory justifies it either. Like sometimes it's like, oh, okay, she's overcompensating for this thing. It's like, no, she has a tragic backstory, much like literally the rest of this cast of characters.
Yeah.
And then like, there's just again not very likable in my opinion.
No, not at all.
None of these characters are again like the best character in my opinion is Misato.
Yeah.
Because at least she has like some caring thing. She tries to like find some positive. The penguin's good as well. Love the penguin.
That's another thing I never understood. Like, Pen is just what? Is it just there for the sake of it? Like, what? Why?
Yeah, it's just
It doesn't do anything, and it's never explained either. Really, it's just like, oh, there's this Pen. There you go.
I don't know.
Okay, thanks. Random penguin.
No, penguin worked for me. Yeah, maybe it was like, look, we need something cute and cuddly in this series. Every anime has something cute and cuddly.
I completely understand. I liked Pen too, but at the same time, I was just like waiting for an explanation of like why it's there, why has it got a collar, like because that's not something you just buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's clearly like Pen is got to be some sort of experiment or some shit.
Was Pen taken from the Arctic or something? Yeah,
I don't know, but do you know what I mean? Like maybe Pen's. Oh yeah, I guess the Arctic is destroyed, so it's probably the last penguin in existence.
yeah.
But like they don't really explain that. Like you saying that then made me realize we had to connect the dots ourselves.
Yeah. It's never really, it's never stated.
You're just like, okay, there's a fucking penguin there,
Yeah.
which also has its own like weird futuristic little room under the one of the fridges.
Yeah.
Sure, fucking why not?
They really thought 2015 was going to be like this in the small apartments, little fridges that like house penguins.
A kid version of me, if I saw this, would be like, man, in 2015, I can't wait for my giant robot. Knowing what I know of this series now, no, don't bring that shit here. I don't need to live this fucking terrible existence where I'm constantly evacuating wherever I am to go to some sort of shelter. The shelter might not even help.
No, I mean, we've seen that clearly, like in that fucking episode where Asuka just literally, like, what was it where Shinji's running away and he's like, "Fuck, I have to stay in the sink."
Yep.
Literally, Asuka's like Ava's head just lands in the fucking thing. It's like, well,
That's the other thing. I'm like, I don't really want to live in a world where I have to trust my fate to a 14-year-old piloting a giant robot, of which they might not even have full control over. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, this isn't the life you want to live.
No.
Like at this point as well, even like with the series ending where it is, it's like, hey, congratulations, clap, 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 clap. Like, what happens there? Like, isn't it like all the cities are basically destroyed because a city gets destroyed every episode as well? By the way,
Pretty much.
this is worse than, oh, Superman rocks up and hits the villain with your car. It's literally, no, Ava's turned up, hey, Ava's, and then it just destroys your fucking home. And you're like, great, okay, that's good.
Well, I mean, like the closest to that is like, like in One Punch Man, where like some of the events get bigger and like Saitama's now got to destroy shit,
Yeah,
or like when he blew up that meteorite, like that's that, but every day, pretty much,
yeah.
or at least once a week in this world. It's just like, oh, cool, everything's busted again.
It's just like nothing is like worth it in this in this period of time. It is awful. It really is awful.
It really isn't. But I will say, the Avas are cool.
Like, yeah, cool.
They look cool. I can't fault the design of the Avas. Like they look cool.
No, I think that like yeah, I agree with you completely. Even like some of the angels are like really like creepy looking, and like the designs are really like funky with them. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot of like the giant stuff like really does like the designs are really good with those.
I think the only time it gets uncomfortable is in the movie because throughout the whole series, anytime for whatever reason they drew a character nude,
Oh yeah,
it was just like like a Ken and Barbie doll.
yeah.
You could see like anatomy, but not like too detailed.
Yeah.
But then in the movie, Giant Ray, for whatever reason, I don't know why they did it,
Mm.
and it's very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But Giant fucking Ray they drew like nipples for some reason.
Oh yeah. Oops.
And like there's a lot of weird like nudity at the end, even in the like anime itself. Like towards the latter episodes, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Why?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where like, am I gonna put it down to it being the time it was released? Because again, this
I don't know.
I always just use the excuse for this is it's like anime. There we go, it's anime. But like I can maybe mean it's like it's just yeah, sure you can show that if you want. I guess it's artistic depiction, but I don't know. It's yeah.
I mean, like it also just felt out of place. Like in the movie, like Giant Ray is there to usher in the end of the world, and I'm like, did you really? You couldn't have just left it at like a weird like neutered bodysuit kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
The silhouette kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to see that considering the world is fucking ending.
It's not necessary, basically. It doesn't add anything to the plot. I mean, it's designs and stuff like that. I can understand. Yeah, but
It felt like just because you could.
yeah, I get you. Yeah.
It's there for just because they can. But yeah, man, I didn't want to come out the other end of watching this being like filled with just hot takes, like being a contrarian. But I really just, at least I can say I've watched it now, but like I don't have good things to say.
I mean, it's one of those like I am very much in very similar take as you, to be honest. I don't. Maybe it is a mix of the fact it was hyped up and the fact that everyone says it's a classic. You need to watch it, and maybe it's similar in the terms of it's a product of its time.
Maybe.
Maybe at the time it was a really big thing, and you can understand why it was hyped. But I really don't know as a new viewer of this thing whether it does hold up in 2023. Bear in mind, there's been so many different anime series, movies, mangas, everything.
Yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Maybe it paved the way for stuff that we know now as well,
Yeah.
which I could absolutely be grateful. And again, design's really good in this. Like the story has probably some kind of message that maybe has gone over our heads, maybe or something like that. And like it's there. I mean, we managed to watch the whole series, so it is somewhat enjoy. I think I mainly watched the whole thing to see why it was so well reviewed.
Okay.
I didn't want to write this off like halfway through, like, yeah, this ain't for me, when it could be like, no, you need to get the whole story to understand it. And then if it ended up being a spectacular thing, which I was like, okay, crap, this actually is really good, then I would have regretted it. But
I don't know that I would have watched the whole thing had I not also been working at the same time.
yeah.
If I had given this thing my 100% focus,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would have got very far. And I agree with you, like, because everyone reviews this so well, and, you know, most people talk about this in such high regard that I would have come into this recording had I put in 100% focus on it, probably only watching maybe 5 episodes and then being like, you know, it's a shame I couldn't get into it because I want to know why everyone likes it so much.
Yeah.
But like, I honestly don't think I would have finished this had I not been distracted.
Nah, I think it was for this episode where I watched it. And I mean, this one thing, like you said, we gave it a shot. We actually can say we've watched it now.
Yeah.
But like, it's gonna be this. It is gonna be. We might even get some people in the comments saying, "Oh, you don't get this, but you don't get this," which is absolutely fine. Look, again, like, if you can explain why this is so good, you can do. But again, we've watched this, and like,
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna change our minds.
yeah,
A good enough argument might be able to make me see the light, but I highly doubt anyone is gonna. I feel like this is the kind of thing that if someone types out something, or you know, like you get responses or like people argue online about it, I'm like, I get the feeling this is one of those where someone would send you an essay, and I'm like, if you have to send me an essay, then it's not worth it. Like,
yeah. I think it is probably, at the time it was released, it was a really big deal and is still a classic which people have in high regard. I think it just doesn't hold up in this time. I think when you have so many, like, that's my opinion of it. I just, like, maybe back then in '96 it really was a big deal, but no, in the mix of overhyping and time period, I think it's just been lost in translation for us. I think playing devil's advocate in the most nicest of ways. That is, that's. I mean, I could easily say didn't like it, not good, bad, and I could have easily just said that. But I think it is. There's probably a bunch of factors, which is why I don't think it does hold up for us.
yeah.
But that's my opinion. I really like. I would love to understand it. I really would, but this ain't it for me. That's the only thing. I don't know. Is there anything else you have to say about it, Nathan?
No, not really. At risk of just, you know, digging a deeper hole for myself. No, not really. I don't have much else to say.
That's cool. That's cool. Right. Okay then. Well, as we said, if you have anything to say about Neon Genesis Evangelion, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. We will try and like, I don't know. We might respond. Who freaking knows?
Look, I just want to say this. Despite what we said, if we have differing opinions, please, let's have a constructive discussion, okay? I don't need this to turn into like a typical like internet comment section or whatever, you know, where people are just like, oh, you're a fucking idiot, I can't believe you're fucking stupid. Like, let's not have any of that, okay? If we're gonna have a discussion, let's have a real discussion, okay? Like, properly talk points out. Like, let's do that instead.
But thank you guys. Yep. Put those comments down if you have any thoughts on that. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Hit that bell button for future Culture Boys videos. There's one every Sunday. We're also on Twitter. Links are in the descriptions there. And you can find us on all podcast platforms, which are in the description as well. Who knew? Description, such a wonderful place. Anyway, we'll see you next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.